शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. So let's start. So till now we have had about 3 lectures. One was just the introduction. Next we started with Yoga Shastram. We have concluded with the first topic, Yoga Shastram, and last time we had started with Vedas. So we continue with that today. So I'll just share something on my screen. We'll start with that just to give you an introduction about how the Vedas or how our land is called as Veda Bhumi. So we start with that. Before that, I just wanted to ask all of you. Till now there are a few people, maybe you joined today for the first time, or there might be few you listened to the previous recordings. So I hope all of you are understanding and you're finding it interesting. So anything from your side you want to say? Anyone? No one? Like just as a feedback or so, something you can say, right?
Hey, honestly, we were not aware of all these things all along, because though we might have read some of these things somewhere as a passing reference, but now when you are going deep into this, like not exactly fully deep, but like explaining it, we are able to understand things and what they are.
Good.
So it's really interesting. It's not definitely it's interesting.
Okay. So basically I just wanted to ask so that it should not happen that I just keep speaking and all of you just listen something and go about. Okay, so let's continue now. So we were talking about Vedas. So what exactly are the Vedas? So a little bit of history about that we know. Now our land is called Veda Bhumi. Veda Bhumi, the place where Vedas were, you can say, let's not say that it was born, because no one has created the Vedas. Just as we saw in the introduction last time, Vedas are apaurushaya, meaning it is the breath of the Lord's, breath of the God, it seems. And this reference you get in the Purusha Sukta of the Gita, of the Vedas. And it was just that the sages, they discovered the Vedas and they passed it on from one generation to next through oral tradition. And that's how we have the Vedas in the present form. So India is known as a land of knowledge, or Veda Bhumi. And our Indian knowledge systems are, you can say, it is so vast that people from all over, you can say even from foreign countries, you have few people from China or Europe, they too came here to study our Indian knowledge systems. And the sad story is today we ourselves don't know about many things. So of course there are many things to blame. Let's not keep blaming people, or let's not even keep blaming foreign invasions for that matter. At least now we have got the opportunity, let's feel blessed and we can revive that. So why this reference is mentioned is, we have people like Al-Biruni. If you read his works or so, he has mentioned a lot about Indian traditions, Indian knowledge systems, what all is there in India and so on. So like this, there are many scholars, not only foreign scholars, there are about Indian scholars also who have studied about this. But why this line has been mentioned is, from Europe and China, people came here was, if they came, and in those times again, transportation was also not easy. Right now today you want to go somewhere, immediately you can book a train, a flight, or via car. We can travel very easily. But in those times again, traveling was also an issue, and it used to take many months together to travel from one land to another. But still people came all the way to India, they rediscovered this place and they learnt a lot and they took it back. So therefore our land was so rich that people even from outside also used to come and revive. So with this, now what exactly are the Vedas and so on? Let's have a look at this. So basically why this topic I have included is, when we study about Veda Bhumi, we should know what are the other things which are a part of Indian knowledge system. So all our ancient Indian scriptures, it is very difficult to interpret them. Why has this been mentioned? Now, as you can see on your screen, you can see the picture of manuscripts, right? Now even today, maybe you go to a museum or a very old library, you can still see those manuscripts, or very clearly if you can see on the screen also, we can see that something has been written on those manuscripts, but it becomes very difficult to interpret what has been written. There can be a few reasons for this. One is, first of all, manuscripts are something which were not there initially because everything was passed on through oral tradition. So nobody had the habit of recording or writing down something. They used to learn, they used to by heart, and they used to pass down. Later times you had the system of manuscripts coming in, but still the study of you have something called manuscriptology, right? So you have, nowadays you have a lot of research and historians and so on. They do a lot of research, they study these manuscripts, that is fine. But in general, if you see, it becomes very difficult to read those manuscripts and understand what exactly has been mentioned. Now for that, maybe the language differs, the language that we study now and or we are familiar, maybe it can be even Sanskrit for that matter, or our own mother tongue that is there. But the manuscripts language, like you have for certain scripts, Brahmi, Sharada, Modi, and so on, so many scripts that are there. So out of that, it becomes very difficult to interpret what has been written there. I'll give you a very simple example. Even sometimes we cannot understand people's handwriting, right? And then the person asks, what have you written? At that time we say, no, it is, I have written something in Hindi, we say, or I have written something in English. But still, if 5 different people write, if your handwriting is very bad, it becomes difficult to understand. It cannot be read easily what has been written, right? So you imagine about this manuscript, something which has been written, their script was totally different, language was totally different, and then again they did not have nicely how we have today notebooks, papers and all that. They used to write on these manuscripts which is made using tree barks and so on. So it was very difficult to interpret things, but still something, all our ancient knowledge was kept here, and in the later part all these manuscripts were preserved in museums and universities, like you have Takshashila, Nalanda and so on. But unfortunately now you see so much of efforts have been put in, everything, nothing was recorded. Then initially things were passed on through oral tradition, then manuscripts were being recorded, but the thing is, again, initially it was not preserved properly. Then finally when we started preserving and keeping them in maybe museums or safe areas, at that time we had invasions that came in. It can be Mughal invasions, foreign invasions. We lost a lot of that treasure. But today still we have some remains that are there, and out of those remains, out of these manuscripts, we can study what has been mentioned in our ancient Indian systems. So it becomes very difficult, but at the same, so you see, whenever we are studying something, why so much in detail has been mentioned, or why I told you about 10 minutes, I told you only about manuscripts. The reason is, today when we are studying something, we have to look at ourselves. Today everything is ready made, right? We get books, or even sometimes we don't have to go and even buy books. You have Google, you just Google something, you will get a lot of information. But still the thing is, we don't know anything. So much of information is there, but still, even though things are readily available, we don't go, we are not interested, or maybe we don't put in efforts also to know about things which is very much there in our own country. So we have to always appreciate the contributions, or you can say the efforts that are put by all our researchers also to preserve these manuscripts, and then study what has been written in these manuscripts, and then bring about in the form of books and so much that is available today. So the least that we can do is, at least, if not very deep, to a basic level, we must know what is there. Today we come across so many people, you ask them, like I told you even last time, what are the Vedas? They don't know what is the Vedas. What is Ramayana? I have heard somewhere it is a story of Rama. At least till date we know people who know what is the Ramayana. So the thing is, we need not look at things always with a religious aspect. Like people think, oh, Ramayana, so it is so religious, only the story of Rama, it's a spiritual text. I'm not interested in that. It is an itihasam, it is history. Why don't you look at that? It is something which has contributed so much. It is the first piece of Sanskrit literature. Valmiki is the first Sanskrit poet. So you look at that with that point of view. You need not look at, if you are not a religious person, you need not look at Ramayana as a story of Rama, right? Or it can be even the Mahabharata or all the Puranas and so many other systems. So let's see what else is there. So therefore it became very difficult to understand. So first of all, interpretation itself was so difficult. Then to understand, then to write books on that, and then make it in an available form so that people can access it easily. So the efforts that have been put behind this, we have to appreciate that. And the least is, we have to open and study what is there. So people started putting in a lot of efforts to study the content that is there in our systems. And now how things have been passed on, as I just told you, you have a lot of inscriptions on temples, or even caves, you have inscriptions that are written, then in the form of manuscripts, and then through oral tradition, that is the Guru Shishya Parampara. So this is how Indian education mainly was passed about. We did not have the system of schools or even books, notes and all this. Mainly it was just that is, we did not focus much on recording information. I'm saying something, you record it down. Or now also in the class, I'm recording what I'm speaking, or I'm showing you something, I'm going to later share it with all of you. So you always have it. You don't understand anything, you can go back, you can see something. So it is always there. Or you have a doubt, next time you come and ask me. But still, in those times, still today we have problems, right? We don't remember things, or we find things to be very difficult. But in those times, it was, if you have to study something, it was through inscriptions, manuscripts, and also through the Guru Shishya Parampara that is there, that is oral tradition. So this is how Indian education was passed about. Further, and this happened for about thousands of years. Now, mainly ancient Indian system, it has been divided into 6 parts. What is this? Shrutis. So the Vedas that we are going to look about in detail form a part of Shrutis. But I felt that before we study only the Vedas, we must know the basis, from where the Vedas have come and so on, and what are the other parts of it. So therefore this introduction I have just considered. So Shrutis, we saw last time, Shruti Shravanam, that which is heard and then learned. So mainly the Vedas, if you see, they are passed on through the Guru Shishya Parampara, that is through oral tradition basically. Nowadays, of course, you have things available in a printed form. So Shrutis, then you have Smritis. What exactly are Smritis? We will see all of this later. Then you have Puranas, 18 main Puranas and few more Upapuranas, Itihasam, Ramayanam, Mahabharatam, Agama Shastras, and Siddhantam. Siddhantam mainly talks about a lot on, you can say, science, theories and logic. So that includes geometry, trigonometry, physics, astronomy. All this forms a part of Siddhantam. Further, first is the Shrutis. Now all these scriptures, like I gave you an example now, there are many branches of study that are told here. Maths, Leelavati or Bhaskaracharya, his book Leelavati talks about maths. Similarly, you have physics, biology, philosophy, astronomy, Varahamira, health sciences, Ayurveda Shastram, Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita, and many other texts by Aryabhatta and so on. Slowly when we see all other topics, we will cover all this. But the thing is, this mainly through these topics, if at least we don't study that. Now today maybe you will have few people who come and say, okay, then why am I studying something? If we have so much in our own tradition or so, why do I need to study something told by Newton, or something which has been told by some other person or so, or a foreign character who comes in, or maybe in history also we have regards of so many Chinese travelers, this traveler, right, that traveler. So today our system is that way, wherein maybe now to study all this, the base is Sanskritam. Only if you are aware of Sanskrit language, that too at a good level, to good extent, if you are familiar with that, then you can study all this. So now instead of blaming what we are doing, okay, I did not study all this, or I was not aware of all this, we are studying something which has been told by people from outside. Whatever is done, we need not blame, or we need not keep names for that. And rather than telling that the system should change, we can try our best for that, but then why not, sir? We have sources that are available. Yourself, you can do your self-study. At least we can know that something like this exists. We can try to bring out the materials and read for ourselves. And let me tell you, everything is still available. Even till date, all of this is still available in form. So it's just that we have to open and see and read properly. Okay, so now let's delve into each of these and see what it has. First is the Shrutis that are there. Shrutis are nothing but the Vedas. Shruti or Vedas, it means one and the same. Now what are the 4 Vedas? Now we are going to look at each of these Vedas in detail because our main topic is Veda Shastram. But for now, you can just a gist of this, you can have a look. Rik Veda, how the name got? Rik, Rika, Richa or Rik is the main dhatu that is there. And the hymns, the various sutras that are there in the Rig Veda, they are called as Ruchas, the various mantras. And Rik means praise. So something in praise of the natural elements. So in those times, during the Rigvedic times, we did not have the concept of various gods that we have today, like Ganesha, Vishnu, Shiva, the goddess, and so on, natural elements used to be worshipped, because people in those times, they used to live in natural surroundings. So for them, water, trees, air, wind, all this was considered to be the Lord. So therefore they used to worship natural elements. That is the reason you have a lot of hymns or a lot of references and stories. Now let me tell you, has anyone read maybe stories from the Rig Veda also, or have you just heard, like, you when you read something, you have some reference, right? The stories from the Rig Veda. Anyone? No one? None of you have read something like that? Okay, no problem. I will maybe some in another lecture also, I will tell you a few stories also which are from the Rig Vedas. So just as we have stories from the Panchatantra or Jataka tales, like that we also have stories from the Rig Veda. So Rig Veda, this story mainly, why I am telling you this is, the Vedas, it's not that they are just religious texts that talk about maybe some different mantras that are to be chanted during rituals and so on. Especially the Rig Veda, it has a lot of hymns in praise of natural elements. It talks about the cosmos, mainly how the sky is, how the planets are, and so on. And at the same time, they've got a lot of stories. So therefore, you will find, in fact, I will, if I'm not wrong, have the story of Indra and how a dog, I think his name is Shuchi or something, the dog, and how the dog goes and meets Indra and so on. So these are not just folklores, maybe in detail I will tell you sometime later. So there are many stories also that are there in the Rig Veda. So you have the reference there, it is mentioned the stories from the Rig Veda Kala. So like this, you have a lot of stories also which are a part of Rig Veda. Next is Yajur Veda. Yajus or Yajur means worship. So the different mantras that we chant during different occasions, be it some festivals, or maybe you have a yajna, different sacrifices, Ashwamedha yajna, Rajasuya yajna, Putrakameshti yajna, all this. During such sacrifices, what are the different mantras that are chanted and the different ways of procedure. Now you see, Rig Veda talks in praise of nature. But next, Yajur Veda felt that it was, you can consider the time period change. Next, after a few years, now you're worshipping nature, that is fine, but there has to be a certain system, right? Now say for example, we are also, if you go to school, okay, going to school is one part, but there is a particular system. You have about, okay, 4 or 5 standards is the primary class, then you have the secondary class, then there is a maybe junior college, then you have degree college. So there is a system that is followed. So mainly you can say like having a nice order, or one second, today everyone is joining so late, one by one. Okay, anyways, so mainly a proper system that was given to the worship of nature, that includes in the Yajur Veda. Okay, so there is a marriage also, these are the certain mantras that are to be chanted. So basically Rig Veda, it had just included a lot of mantras, lot of hymns. It did not have the method of categorizing. Whereas the Yajur Veda said that, okay, if this is a certain ritual, these are the mantras or these are hymns that are to be chanted. This is a particular occasion, so these are the procedures that you have to follow. So mainly, so it became easy for people to follow. So that is Yajur Veda. Samaveda, it felt that music is something which is quite easy. Now let me tell you, singing is something which all of us can always do, right? Maybe you cannot sing alone, but still in chorus also, music is something which all of us like to listen, and you can pick up also easily. Rather than maybe you have something in prose, it becomes difficult. Whereas something is there in the poetry form, it becomes easy. Why it becomes easy? Because you have some tune to it, you have some rhythm to it, so it becomes easy. That is the reason all of us in school, we by heart poetries and not the prose. Nobody tells us to by heart the lessons. But you have your oral exam also, you have poem recitation. Why so? This is the reason, because when some rhythm or tune is given, it becomes easy to remember. Even if you don't remember the words properly, you remember the rhythms, automatically you can recollect the words also. So Samaveda felt that now mantras are told in the Rig Veda, different procedures are explained in the Yajur Veda, whereas now if the same mantras are chanted in a musical tone, it becomes easy to remember. So therefore Samaveda forms the basis of Indian classical music also. Atharva Veda. Now let me tell you Atharva Veda. Atharva means actually stability of mind. It is also another name for Lord Ganesha. And mainly Atharva Veda focuses on, it was not considered to be a part of the Vedas. It is, you can say, comparatively it's a modern Veda, because in many references, you take the Gita, you take the Puranas, you take the Itihasas, Trayaha Vedaha, Tisra. That is the only reference that you get, 3 Vedas. So, in those times only three Vedas were considered: Rig, Yajur, Sama. Atharva in today's times it is considered. Today in the sense, of course, many years have passed about, but not in the time of Itihasas and Puranas. Atharva Veda was not a part of the four Vedas because its subject matter little differs. It deals a bit with sciences like Dhanurvidya, that is archery, then little bit reference with regards to medical science, black magic, and things like that, which somewhat differed from the subject matter of the other three Vedas. So the first three, Rig, Yajur and Sama, talked about different hymns with regards to nature, with regards to cosmos. Whereas Atharva Veda's subject matter, little, it differed from the other three Vedas, and that is the reason why it was not considered to be a part of Vedas. Later, of course, it was accepted. So Atharva Veda, mainly it is for daily activities. So like I told you, maybe astrology or black magic or different rules that we follow in our everyday life, health and so on, or archery. Such things are included in the part of Atharva Veda. So these are the four Vedas that form a part of Shruti. Next is, okay, till here is everything clear? Anyone has any doubt? Shankha, Prashnam? Amvana? No.
No,
Okay. Oh, break. I hope everyone is not sleeping.
Absolutely not.
Listening. No, we are listening. Thank you.
Adya maunavratam nasti. Okay, so you can also speak if you want. Nobody should be maunam. Okay, let's continue.
किमपि शङ्का नास्ति.
नास्ति, अस्तु. किमपि शङ्का नास्ति तर्हि एका समस्या अस्ति. किमपि शङ्का नास्ति कदा भवति? When you don't have any doubt, when you understand everything, or when you don't understand anything. I hope it is the first thing. अस्तु, अग्रे गच्छामः. So all of you need not write all this. I will be sharing, so you can just listen. That's it. Okay. Now, each of the four Vedas, now when we say Veda, Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva, we will delve deep. I have already shared the PDF, so that is actually it has got the contents of each of the Vedas. We will look at that later. I felt that this is an introduction to feel that what exactly is a part of our system we should know, from where the Vedas have come, what exactly is a part of Vedas. So therefore this talks about that. In the PDF that I have already shared on the group, you can see that we have a lot of Vedas. Into each of the Vedas it delves deep, the contents of each of the Vedas. Okay, now when we say Vedas, it is supported by few things are there: Aranyakas, Brahmanas, Samhita and Upanishad. Now, Aranyaka usually were those mantras which were studied in the Aranyam, which were studied in the forest. So, usually sages used to teach these Vedas to their disciples. Now, obviously, sages have their hermitage in the forest only. So, therefore, that part which was learned mainly in the forest, in fact, those kings or princes who were taught the Vedas, for teaching this portion of the Vedas, they used to be sent to the forest, or they used to learn this in the forest. Now, obviously, people in those times used to be sent to the Gurukula. So, therefore, people used to, you can say, obviously, they used to live in the forest only. But this part of the Aranyakas was learnt in the forest. Next comes the Brahmanas. Now, Brahmanas are nothing but you can consider them to be like commentaries, or it is very, very theoretical. So it talks about mainly various rituals that are to be done. So like we have our marriage systems, or Upanayana Samskara, or a Griha Pravesha Puja. Like this, there are different samskaras wherein certain mantras are chanted. So at this time you have these Brahmanas. So Brahmanas you can consider like their very detailed commentary that has been told. That is the Brahmanas. Next you have the Samhita. Now what exactly is a Samhita? Samhita is which is chanted. Now Samhita, when we say, it is considered out of these four also the most ancient, that is Samhita. So Aranyakas are learnt in the forest, Brahmanas are detailed commentaries. Now all these are Vedic mantras only, but each of the Vedas, Rig Veda had Aranyaka, Brahmana, Samhita, Upanishad. Like this, each of the Vedas have their own Aranyakas, own Brahmanas, own Samhitas, own Upanishads. Make a note of this. So this rich is Vedic literature. For example, Yajur Veda Upanishads, you have the Taittiriya Upanishad. Like that, you have the Taittiriya Samhita. Then you have few Aranyakas, few Brahmanas. Now, Yajurveda, many of us still recite, so we are aware. Similarly, Rig Veda also has, Samaveda also has, Atharva Veda too has. Even today, if you go to certain Veda Pathshalas, you can see the chanting of these, you can listen to them. Aranyakas, Brahmanas, Samhitas and Upanishads of each of the 4 Vedas, they are chanted. Unfortunately, today we don't even know the names. Many of that has been lost. Today, hardly a few are available. Sad part is we don't know even that. So you see, so much of treasure we have already lost, but at least what we have we must save, and that's the reason why everyone should learn, and if we cannot learn, we should at least know what is there. Then next comes the Samhita. It is, you can say, the most ancient part of literature, and Samhita, further what it Samhita, mainly something which has been put together, that is the meaning of Samhita. And in general, in this you have a lot of prayers, lot of mantras that are chanted. So basically, Brahmanas talk about a lot of rituals and sacrifices. Samhitas are those mantras, or you can say different prayers are included in Samhita. And in this Samhita, what happens is everything has been put in a proper order. So it is divided, you can say, in paragraphs or so, or in numbers or so. Brahmanas, ultimately they will be like a commentary, so it will be a bit you can say a bit long. Samhitas are quite short, so small mantras, small prayers that are included in Samhita. Like for example, the Gayatri mantra that is found in the Rig Veda Samhita. So it is, you can say, a small mantra, the Gayatri mantra, about 2 lines or so, that is included in the Rig Veda Samhita, and so on. Like this, you have Yajurveda. Okay, how many people here are Yajurvedis? Yajurveda? Yes. So there will be a few men. Yes, men who are Yajurvedas. So those who do the Sandhyavandana regularly, when you chant your Abhivadanam, you say, right, Apastamba Sutraha. Apastamba Sutra, it is a part of Yajurveda Samhita. Men here, do you chant that? Apastamba Sutraha, Yajushakha, Dhyayi. Do you chant? I hope everyone does the Sandhyavandana. Yes. So when you do that, you chant. Yes. So when we say Yajurveda Adhyayi, we have to actually study Yajurveda. And if it is Samaveda Adhyayi, as per that. So mostly people are Yajurvedam or Samavedam. There are a few people who belong to Rig Veda also. I hope everyone here knows to which Veda your family, your ancestors belong. If you don't know, please go and ask your own ancestors or senior people in the family. There should be no one who says, I don't know to which Veda I belong. Now these are all our own, you can say. Now someone will ask, what is the need? Why should I go and ask? I want to study all the 4 Vedas. You can study all the 4 Vedas, there is no doubt in that. But then we must at least know to which family we belong. And why you should know this is, each of the 4 Vedas have a few set of rishis. So if you know that, you will know which rishi is your ancestor. Like for example, even in Yajurveda, you have a few rishis. Pancha Rishayaha, Traya Rishayaha, Sapta Rishayaha. We chant, right, in Abhivadanam. So all this people should know, be it even women also. Even though we don't have the Upanayana Samskara, we must know to which family we belong, who are our ancestors. So all this mainly, today we consider, all this is a part of our, you can say, so much people are talking about religion, people are so orthodox. In fact, if you see, it is not at all orthodoxy. When you chant the Abhivadanam, it's just that you are introducing yourselves. Today we feel that we are chanting a mantra. It's not at all like that. You are chanting, you're telling about your own family, where you belong, you're introducing yourself. That's the reason why we chant Abhivadanam. Abhivadanam is our salutation. You introduce yourself and then you fall at the feet of your elders and seek their blessings. So through this, we know our own identity, our own ancestors. So all of you should know your Vedas. Next time I'm going to ask all of you, how many of you know your Vedas? Which family you belong? Mostly it will be the Yajurveda or Samaveda. There are a few who belong to Rig Veda, yes, but there are a few families who also belong to Atharva Veda. So you should know about this, who are our ancestors and so on, and you can ask your own family. Now sometimes what people very smartly do is, those who don't have an answer, they will go and ask their family priest. What will he do? How will he know your ancestors? But then there are a few options that are told. Those who don't know, for example, there will be a person, maybe for 3-4 generations together, you don't follow any traditions or so, you are not aware of what is there about your family background or so. At that time, all this is mentioned in the Puranas only. If you don't know something, in our own scriptures it is mentioned, you can go and ask your priest. And the priest, sometimes there are a few, you can say few nakshatras or few gotras. Gotram is nothing but which family clan we belong to. If you know that your gotra also, we know. So then if you, in case you don't know your gotra, at that time you go and ask your family priest. There are 1 or 2 gotras which in case you don't know, then you can belong to that gotra. So this is what has been told. So gotram is nothing much, it is associated with some rishi mostly, or it can be anything. Not a rishi, like for example, some are rishis, some may not be rishis. For example, Shri Vatsa Gotraha, if we say, that is just a mark of Lord Vishnu, right? So like this, now Gotra is nothing but the family clan, we belong to that particular family. So it's not that why should I know my Gotra, why should I know my Rishi, why should I know my Vedas. Today when we introduce ourselves, what do we say? Okay, my name is so and so, I live here, my father is so and so, this is my profession. This is how we introduce. But then what about your family also? At that time what we say is, my father is so and so, my grandfather is so and so. Beyond that we don't know. So our tradition was so rich that our ancestors were so, you can say, so smart, or you can say so intelligent and wise, that they knew all their entire kula, entire dynasty. If you see the Raghukula of Rama, ancestors of Rama, Raghukulam written by Kalidasa. How Kalidasa has written so many ancestors. Or the Ramayana. Few of us, we see the Ramayana, right? We are learning the Ramayana. Janaka mentions his entire kula, about 36 kings or so, and Vasishta also tells the kula of Rama. How come they know our ancestors so well? All of us, do we know? Beyond grandfather, maximum great grandfather. Beyond that we don't know. You do the Shraddha Karma, right? At that time when we do the Shraddha, now I am telling you all this, don't consider it as a lecture or so, but I'll tell you the importance. When most of us we do the Shraddha Karma, now you have the Pitru Paksha Kala coming, or every year those who do the Shraddha Karma, the priest will ask you, grandfather, maybe if you are doing it for your father or mother, they will ask you, father, grandfather, great grandfather. At that time you see so many people get confused. Father, grandfather they know. Grandfather also sometimes they forget. They, in a paper, I myself have seen people who write down the names. What is the need to write down your own grandfather's or great grandfather's name? You don't know even that. This is the level of knowledge that we stoop down to, and then we feel proud of so many other things. Anyways, let's not debate on that. But then these are all things. So when our ancestors, when they knew why you have to know which Gotra you belong to, why you have to know that which Veda you belong to, it tells us who are our ancestors, from which Rishi we belong to, from where our clan has come. And why in the Ramayana it has been mentioned. Why did Janaka know about all his ancestors? Why did Vasishta tell about the ancestors of Dasharatha? This rich was their tradition. They knew what belonged to of their previous generations, who are their ancestors, how I have come down to today, and that's how they pass on even through their future generations. So if not maybe 36 or 50, at least we should know little our own family background. Yes, Manmadji, you want to say something? You raised your hand? No? Okay. So, the Vedas, they have it's divided into 4 parts: Aranyakas, Brahmanas, Samhita. Samhita, Apastamba Sutra is, I gave you an example from the Yajurveda. Rig Veda Samhita, you have the Gayatri Mantra. And then finally, the Upanishads. There are a few Upanishads. From the Yajurveda Upanishad, famous is the Taittiriya Upanishad, which is further divided into 3: Shikshavali, Anandavali, Bhriguvali. You also have the Mahanarayana Upanishad. Like this, various other Upanishads, Chandogya Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Kathopanishad, and so on, various Upanishads. Then, so like this, each of the Vedas have different Upanishads. Please make a note of this. Rig Veda has its own Aranyakas, own Brahmanas, own Samhitas, own Upanishads. Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. So like this, you see so much of diversity is there. Apart from that, these are a part of these Vedas. Apart from that, there are 6 other sciences which support the knowledge of these Vedas. What is that? First is Shiksha. Shiksha, Vyakaranam, Chandas, Nirukta, Jyotisha and Kalpa. What exactly is Shiksha? If you want, you can have a note of this. What talks about the different aspects of the cosmos. Cosmos is nothing but nature. Further, we have Shiksha, Vyakarana, the 6 blocks that support the 4 Vedas. That is the knowledge that has been mentioned in these 6 branches that has come from the main 4 Vedas. So basically you can say that these 6 parts that are there, they add to the knowledge of the Vedas. So they are a part of the Veda. You cannot consider them exactly as a part of Vedas, but they are Vedangas, Vedasya Angaha. So they are a part of the Vedas, but mainly they have their own categorization. For example, Shiksha talks about phonetics. Nowadays, so many small children, what do their parents do? You send them to a phonetics class, right? What exactly is phonetics? A, B, C, they tell you to maybe pronounce, right? Those letters. If you learn Sanskrit Varnamala, you don't need something called phonetics at all. Ka, kha, ga, ghanga, cha, cha, ja, janya, ta, tha, da, dha, na, ta, tha, da, dha, na, pa, pha, ba, bha, ma, yara, lava, sh, satnya. Now try to pronounce it for yourself. You will see that your entire mouth till your stomach, you have used all the body parts. Slowly you can see for yourself. Ka, kha, ga, ghanga. You pronounce all these 5 letters from your throat. Cha, cha, ja, janya. When you chant these, pronounce these 5 letters, same moment your face, your mouth makes. Tha, tha, da, dha, na. You hit our tongue. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. You touch your front part of the teeth. Pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. You close your lips. And then the next 4 letters, they do not belong to any class. It's a combination of everything. Ya, ra, la, va, sha, sat, nya. When we say all these letters, that is the reason why you don't need phonetics. Though Shiksha is a science of phonetics, in general, if you study Sanskrit Varnamala, it is said that so many speech disorders, some people have speech disorders, or in general, sometimes you see when people speak, their speech is not clear, especially small children. If you see, till about the age of 3 years, it is still okay. But still, some people have this problem of stammering, or speech is not clear. For all those people, instead of so many speech therapies, this and that we do, a very beautiful remedy has been told that you can learn Sanskrit. Now, it's not just to say that Sanskrit is great over other languages, but it is scientific in itself. Like I give you the example now. Whereas you consider the English alphabets, A, B, C, D, E, try to pronounce it for yourself. There is no order. This is how it is. That's the reason you have to send someone to a phonetics class, right? A, you see how your mouth is. B, you close your lips. C, touch your teeth. D, tongue has to go up like this. So each letter is different. Whereas in Sanskrit Varnamala, if you see, ka, kha, ga, ghanga, all 5 from your throat. Cha, cha, ja, janya, the same moment that is made, and so on. So you have something called Oshtya, Talavya. So Sanskrit Varnamala, this is Oshtya is lips, when we touch our lips. Kanthya from our throat. Ka, kha, ga, ghanga. You can do one thing. With your left hand, you can just touch your throat and try to pronounce these 5 letters. Ka, kha, ga, gha, ga. You feel a sensation there. So therefore, Sanskrit Varnamala or Shiksha, the study of phonetics, it is very structured because you use all the parts of your mouth, and sometimes it goes in your throat, and sometimes even inside your stomach. When we say the visarga or aha, when you say even ha, you see you feel a sensation in your stomach, and that is the right way of pronunciation. Now when you do all this, you need not move your entire body, or maybe you should not feel that maybe you are going to pounce upon someone. Some people chant mantras also, you listen to them, their entire body will be shaking, and it's as if they are going to pounce upon someone. That should not be there. But then Shiksha is the study of phonetics, how each letter should be pronounced. And why this branch is included in as a part of the Vedangas is Sanskrit is the only language which, let me not say only, maybe you can consider one. You can say, I'm not aware of any other language, but I don't think there is any other language like this, which as we say, so we write. If you say something, in the same way I will write it. We don't have the concept of silent letters or so on. For example, let us take English. There is a concept of silent letters, right? For example, if I say knowledge, no, K is not there at all. But when we write in the spelling, you have K-N-O-W, right? So all of us, when we were small, when we don't know the concept of silent letters, at that time we surely make this mistake initially. Or even honest, when we say honest, we don't write O-N-E-S-T. There is an H there. H is silent, right? So this is initially in the course of time we learn the concept of silent letters, whereas in Sanskrit it is not so. Therefore, study of Shiksha is very, very important. If you pronounce it right, you will write it right. If you pronounce it wrong, everything goes wrong. So therefore, Shiksha, study of phonetics, Vyakaranam, study of grammar, Panini's contribution, the great grammarian. Then you also have the Maheshwara Sutras, which a topic which we are going to see later. It is those letters which just now I told you from the Sanskrit Varnamala they have come. So the Varnamala that we study today is a refined form. The original Maheshwara Sutras have come out from the Damaru of Lord Shiva. Next is Chandas, Chandashastram, science of meters. Ramayana has got which Chanda? Anyone knows? Ramayanam which Chandas? Anushtup Chandaha. The Gita?
Anushtup Chandaha.
Vishnu Sahasranama?
Anushtup.
Correct. So Anushtup Chandaha is the most popular Chanda that is there. But there are a few other Chandas is nothing but particular tune. Now for example, if you read the Gita, now I assume most of you are familiar with the Gita. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakav pandavaschaiva kimakurvata sanjaya. This is a particular tune. If you want, you can chant in some other tune also. Now for this is Anushtup Chandaha. How can you identify? In Chanda Shastram, all these rules are mentioned. Whenever if there can be a few engineers here or maybe people who love maths. There are so many formulas to remember, right? Or math, science, there are so many theories. If you want to really rack your brains, you must study Chanda Shastram. I will tell you my own experience for Chanda Shastram. Okay, let us complete this Anushtup Chandaha. So basically now how it is happening is, I want to tell you so many things, but the topic, maybe on one topic we will stick and I don't know from where to start. Okay, so this is what is happening when we have to study our own systems. Okay, so Anushtup Chandaha, if you see, now I just chanted the words Dharma. Okay, I'll just share my screen and maybe show you the words so it makes more sense. Dharma Kshetri. Oh, just an example, just to see, you can see the first verse here. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre. Count the letters. Dharma kshetre 4, kurukshetre 4. 4 and 4, 8. Samaveta 4, yuyutsavaha. You should not count the half letters and visarga as separate letters. So samaveta 4, yuyutsavaha 4. 4 and 4, 8. So the first line you see, in all you have 16 letters. Second line, ma ma ka 1 2 3, panda 5, vaschaiva 8, ma ma ka panda vaschaiva 8, ki ma kurvata 5, sanjaya 3. 5 and 3, 8. Second line also has got 16 letters. So the definition of Anushtup Chandaha is, in every part of the verse that is there, every part is Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. I take a pause there. So that is one part. Samaveta Yuyutsavaha. Second part. Mamakav Pandavaschaiva. Third part. Kimakurvata Sanjaya. Fourth part. In each of the parts, if we have 8 letters, that is Anushtup Chandaha, total comes to 32 letters. This is one definition of Anushtup Chandaha. So here you can identify, okay, the chandas or the meter is Anushtup Chandaha. It has a particular tune in which you have to chant. Now, is this only the identification that has been mentioned in Chanda Shastram? No. Let's continue. I'll show you that again. Apart from this, now who has to study Chanda Shastram is, a lot of poets used to study this. So whenever you have to compose something in Sanskrit, it becomes very, very difficult. Unlike in English also, if you have to say, for example, I have to write a poem. Whatever thoughts come to my mind, I can write that. And maybe I add some rhythm or tune to it, you can write that. But in Sanskrit, it becomes very, very difficult because there are many, many rules which you have to follow. Now, say for example, you are writing something in Anushtup Chandaha. This is rule number 1 that I told you. Total 8, 8, 8, 8 in every part, in all 32. There is one more rule. There is a concept called Laghu and Guru. Laghu is small, Guru is big. Few letters in a word should be Raswa, that is small. Few letters in a word should be big, that is Guru. So you have to consider all this. So, and like this, there are many rules. So when I told you that those who want to rack your brains, those who are very smart, you have studied a lot of, but you like maths or theories, you should surely study Chanda Shastra. I'll tell you my own experience. When of course, I have not studied Chanda Shastra much in detail because I am a person, maybe I never dealt with maths also. I was not very good in maths, not at all good in maths. So therefore, but still out of interest, once Chanda Shastram when I was studying, so many rules to remember, and it is like something, we have something in Sanskrit called, in maths called permutation and combination. Is anyone familiar with that, permutation combination? Yes. So that is nothing but A, B, C or A, B, B. Then how so many combinations come in, right? About 16 pairs, or I don't know exactly. So this usually in high level maths, all of us we study, maybe in high school or at least in college or so. The same rules are applicable here in Chanda Shastram. That is only the concept of Laghu and Guru. Where you have to use Rasva, where you have to use Dirgha. So maybe sometimes the rule will be in, say for example, if you are writing something in Anushtup Chandaha. I am giving an example of Anushtup Chanda because that is something which is common. Like you have the Gita, you have the Ramayana, you have the Vishnu Sahasranama and so on. 32 letters in all should be there in one verse. Then there can be some rule saying that maybe the second letter of the first word should be Laghu, or the third letter of the fourth word should be Dirgha. All these rules are also there. I am just roughly giving you an example. It's not only for Anushtup Chandaha. Like this is only one Chanda. So you have to keep all this in mind. So whenever you have to write something in Sanskrit, first is subject matter. What I have to write, I have to know about that. I have to know the story behind it. Second is, I have to know the right words. I have to choose the right words. Now I know the story, I have the words with me, but now still I cannot write because I should follow a chanda, I should follow a meter. Anushtup Chandaha, okay, I choose that. Next comes the rules. Anushtup Chandaha should have only 32 letters. So you have to choose words also accordingly, that in all the letters should be 32. Further then there is another rule wherein all this Laghu Guru that is there, Rasva, few words should be Rasva, few letters should be Dirgha. And ultimately we attain success if you are able to write. Now all these rules, if you have to remember and you tell maybe all of us to maybe compose a verse, even if we are able to compose one verse, we will start sweating. You imagine the knowledge that is there. Ramayana 24,000 verses, Mahabharata more than 1 lakh verses, Vishnu Sahasranama so many verses, 1,000 names of the Lord, and like this there are so many systems. And this is just one Chanda, Anushtup Chandaha. Vedic Chandas are different. Chandas used Anushtup, Brihati, Gayatri, Trishtup, that is the rules are different altogether in Vedic Chandas. In general, Sanskrit literature Chandas, one is Anushtup Chandaha. Second is Bhujangam, Bhujanga Prayata. Shankaracharya has composed so many Bhujanga stotras, right? For example, Ganesha Bhujanga. Ranakshutra Kanta Ninada Bhiramam. You see, the tune changes, right? You can count the letters also. Count for yourself, you can see. Ra, Nat, Kshudra, Ghanta, 6. Ni, Na, Da, Bhi, Ra, Mam, 5. Sorry, 6. 6 and 6, 12. So in Bhujanga Prayata or Bhujangam, in that meter when you see, it is in all 12 letters. In Anushtup Chandaha, it is 16 in one line. So like this, there are so many rules that are told. Next you have a meter called Chanda Shastram. Now topic is not Chanda Shastram, but I am just telling you for your knowledge. And you have something called Shardula Vikredita. There are many stotras for Shardula Vikredita. This is another meter. Then you have Upendra Vajra, Indra Vajra, and so on. Vasantalika. This is also, in fact, the shloka that we chant. गजाननं भूतगणादिसेवितं कपित्तजम्बूफलसारभक्षितं उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम्. It has got a unique chanda. I think it is Vasantalika if I am not wrong. So like this, there are many chandas. So Chanda Shastram is something which studies the science of linguistics. Next is Nirukta. Nirukta, origin of words, etymology. study of words. Which word has to be used when? That is Nirukta. Jyotisha Shastram, astronomy. So Jyotisham, though we consider astronomy more than, though today we say Jyotisham is astrology, the basis of astrology is the study of planets. So that's the reason why Jyotisham is considered to be astronomy. And Kalpa, study of different rituals, study of rituals. So there are different mantras that are told in the Vedas, but for different rituals there are certain procedures. Like in Kalpa Shastram, I don't know if all of you are familiar, whenever we do some sacrifices or so. Now today we don't do a lot of maybe Ashwamedha Yajna, Rajasuya Yajna, but you would have seen that the Yajna Kunda that is there. Now in most of our houses, if you see, you will have a normal, say for example you have a small puja at your house. What do? You bring about a few bricks, or we have the normal homa kunda, right? It's about a square or a rectangular shape. But there are many, you can say, shapes of homa kundas that can be there. In fact, they used to dig on a ground out of mud or so. Such structures used to be made, maybe in the shape of a bird or a triangular shape. Sometimes it can be circular, sometimes semicircular. There are so many homakundas or so many shapes in which the yajna should be done. So what should be the size exactly? What should be the diameter? What should be the length? What should be the breadth of the homakunda? What are the different rituals which are to be done? All this is included in Kalpa Shastram. So it is also a part of the Vedas. Next, what else is there? Now each of these Veda has got an Upaveda. Ayurveda Shastram is from Rig Veda. You have some reference that you get in the Atharva Veda also. For Yajur Veda, you have Dhanur Veda. Dhanur Veda, study of archery. Sama Veda, Gandharva Vidya or Gandharva Veda, that is music, art and science. Because Sama Veda is the base of Indian classical music, you have Gandharva Veda, study of music, art, dance, so all the forms of entertainment. And Atharva Veda has got Arthashastra, nothing but economics or political science. They both are quite related, that is Arthashastra. So that is an Upaveda. So you see, now you get a proper picture. When we say the Vedas, we must not feel, okay, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. Each of this is divided into Aranyakas, Brahmanas, Samhitas, Upanishads. There are 6 Vedangas to support these Vedas, and there are also Upavedas. Okay, let's next see. Further, so this is the picture of Vedas or Shruti. Now this is our main topic which we are going to see in detail, but then because initially we saw what are Smritis and so on also, at least we should get an idea what exactly are Smritis. So I will just tell you, it's just an introduction, that's it. Smritis are mainly, it is written by sages. So mainly Smritis is something, now if you see Shrutis, they were passed on through oral tradition. So no one is the author of Shrutis. Whereas Smritis was written by various sages and saints. Those were, you can say, they were excellent. They had learned Shrutis, they had learned the Vedas. So they wrote a lot of texts, Smritis. That was also based on philosophy, science and so on. Now there are a few Smritis that are there. Let's have a look at that. There are about 18 Smritis. So basically all these Smritis are also from the Vedas only. Their basis is from the Vedas. Maybe you can say in a very practical approach, like it is mentioned here, or you want to, maybe you want to, in the Vyasa Smriti it will be there, or Vasishta Smriti. So all this has been written by the respective rishis. Atreya Smriti written by Atreya, Vishnu Smriti written by a sage called Vishnu, Yama Smriti, Apastamba Smriti, Katyayana Smriti, Vasishta Smriti, Gautama Smriti and so on. Like this, there are different Smritis that delve with different topics altogether. So, but mainly their basis is from the Vedas only, but maybe you can say a proper categorization has been mentioned, or maybe they deal with a particular topic. Vedas can be mainly, you can say, in a very broad manner. So this is, it will be properly categorized. That is Smritis. So after the Shrutis, next you have the level is Smritis. Further, you have, after Smritis, next you have the Puranas. Puranas, I told you, about 18 Puranas are there. And out of that, now these Puranas, some people say that Puranas are just, you can say, word of mouth, or someone just comes and tells something, it has been noted. Sometimes Puranas don't make sense. It's not like that. Puranas are basically encyclopedic in nature. What do they contain? Sargosyata visargascha vrittirakshantaraani cha वंशो वंशानुचरितं संस्थाहेतुरपाश्रवः दशभिर्लक्षणैर्युक्तं पुराणं तद्विदो विदुः केचित् पञ्चविदं ब्रह्मन् महदल्पव्यवस्थया. What is the content of the Purana? Sargaha, creation, how this cosmos is created. Visargaha, different worlds are created. Vritti, how life has evolved from the first man, how creation has started. Raksha, how life is sustained. Just giving birth, just taking birth is not enough. We sustain, we maintain ourselves, right? That is also very important. Antarani, time scale. Srimad Bhagavatam, best example, talks about different structures of time. Nimesha, starting from a millisecond till hour and so on, kilometers, different dimensions, measurement and time has been mentioned. In other Puranas also it is there. Srimad Bhagavatam is a popular Purana. Vamsha, lineage of kings, Soma Vamsha, Surya Vamsha and so on. Vamshanucharita, different dynasties. Samstha, various, you can say, institutions, or maybe more than samstha, it is you can consider like different ways or systems that were followed. So sometimes you don't have something which is maybe we cannot always consider it as unfortunate, or there are a few disasters, or you can say samstha when you say something which is life changing. Like for example, it can be pralaya is the end, when the entire creation gets deluded in water or so, and then new creation starts in. So that reference is also given here, that is samstha. Hetu, prime cause of everything. Like for example, Srimad Bhagavatam has predicted what all will happen in the Kali Yuga. To some extent, if you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 12th skanda for yourself, you will know what are the predictions, and to some extent all of that is turning true. So that is some causes, or you can say some predictions that are made. And Apasarayaha talks about history of the Lord. So many stories related to the Lord also is a part of the Puranas. So therefore this is a content of the Puranas, a very deep study. Those who study a bit of Puranas, you will know about this. So it talks about many things. Further, next is, after the Puranas, next you have 18 Puranas and all. You can look at the names of the Purana. Markandeya Purana, Matsya Bhagavata, Bhavishya Brahmanda, Brahma, Brahmavaivarta, Vishnu Varaha, Vamana Vayu, Agni Narada, Padmalinga, Garuda Kurma, Skanda. Please note, though here you can see everything is written by one sage, Vedavyasa, there are a few, you can say, there are a few controversies in this, or a few conflicts, which says that Vedavyasa, who has compiled the Vedas, Vedavyasa who has written the Mahabharata, and Vedavyasa who has written a few Puranas, that is one and the same. But Vyasa, as I told you, is not a proper noun. It is not the name of one person. Vyasa is a title that is given to the compiler of Vedas and the Puranas. So basically, one who is responsible for categorization. There have been different Vyasas. So Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa is the current Vyasa who is there, and he was responsible for dividing the Vedas into 4. And the same one has also written the Mahabharata and a few Puranas. But here it is written by just one sage. Little it becomes difficult to accept because the time periods do vary. So there can be, everything was done by Vyasa, but as the time periods change, there can be different Vyasas. So you can just make a note of this. Okay, so today time is up. We will stop here. Next you also have 2 or 3 more things that we had: Itihasas, Agamas and Siddhantas. What exactly that is, in brief, we will see that next time. And then now we majorly delve into Veda Shastram, what exactly is there in the Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharva Veda. Okay, so we'll stop here for today.